So Neera Tanden, who is one of the most infamous hatchet men and smear merchants for the Democratic establishment, she is a corporate tool and reliable Democratic operative. Neera Tanden, as many of you all know, she was Joe Biden picked her to run the Office of Management and Budget, which is an incredibly important position in the White House, and she didn't make it through Senate confirmation. But don't worry, Joe Biden is picking her for another position in the White House that doesn't need to be Senate confirmed. So she will have immense power within the Biden administration. That's a given. But before her time in this Biden administration, she was running the Center for American Progress for, I believe, over 10 years now. And the Center for American Progress is a think tank, which is really, once you look into a lot of these think tanks are just corporate backed. It's a way to funnel corporate money to operatives in the Democratic and Republican Party, but it's also a way for corporations to put a veneer of respectability on all of the neoliberal policies that they want government to enact. They fund these think tanks, and these think tanks, whatever their corporate donors want, they'll write up make it some policy proposal, make it look all official, and then the corrupt politicians who also take money from those same corporations, they go to these reputable think tanks and just take their policy positions and adopt it as their own. So it's a way to launder neoliberalism and corporatist ideology and make it seem legit, similar to how they do with academia and universities. So, but with the Center for American Progress, from what we've learned over the years, it was set up to be what was called a clearinghouse, or a way for all of the Clinton operatives who thought that they were going to they thought that Hillary Clinton was going to win in the 2008 election. And they had all their staffers ready to go, all of the neoliberal corporate tools from the Bill Clinton administration and all the other neoliberals in Washington. They had all their staff ready to go, all and they were, but when Obama won the primary, a lot of them were asked out. So Clinton had they created the Center for American Progress, which is where a lot of these Clinton allies went to just cash in, get a bunch of money for doing nothing. Like I said, doing the work of a think tank and working on behalf of corporations. And it was a way for all of them to keep a job, because the most important thing in the Democratic Party is that the Democratic operatives at all times can always continue the grift. All these consultants, all of these strategists, all of these policy makers, they're always, top priority is that they have to continue the grift, and the gravy train has to keep on going. And so this was a way for them to do that while they were out of government. And it was also a way for the Clintons to just amass a bunch of corporate money, some type of fundraising mechanism to go along with the Clinton Foundation, where they have all their donors donating. So when she does decide to run again for office, like she did in 2016, they can just transfer all of the staff, all of the resources into the Clinton campaign and then the Clinton administration. That was the whole purpose of the Center for American Progress. So neoliberal institution, don't let the name fool you. There is no progressiveness anywhere in there. So that was and I'm giving you the backstory so you understand some context before I get into why they're in the news now. So, like I said, Neera Tanden was the head of the Center for American Progress over 10 years. So She has staffed that place. She has built the culture there, the corporatist culture, the neoliberal culture. She has influenced it in a way that more than anybody else has, arguably. Of course, aside from the corporate donors. So she was just picked for OMB, but the Center for American Progress, just a couple, I think it was last week, they put out a paper making it sound all official, like they're paid to do. And in it, they say maybe it's time to start making students pay back their student loan debt. Because since the crisis started a year ago, the Trump administration took a step that no other administration has taken before, and they put a pause on the student loans. And so nobody had to pay back their student loans for this entire time, and there was no interest accruing on the student loans. So the student loan payments have been paused since last March. And of course, that's a good thing because we're in an economic crisis. 60 million plus people have lost their job last year. 60% of the small businesses had to close permanently because of COVID and the economic crisis and lockdowns. And so, and all the economic devastation, it is insane to add hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars in student loan payments for people every month. So they suspended them. It was a good thing. But similar to with the moratoriums on evictions, it is just kicking the can down the road. And eventually, there's going to be a time where they are going to try to resume the evictions. They're going to lift the eviction bans. Even though people are still being evicted, there's going to be an avalanche of evictions once they officially lift all the temporary bans. And the same with the student loan debt crisis. They're going to lift the pause on the eviction, and people are going to default on their student loans because they just cannot pay them. So here are these neoliberal shills coming out in the middle of the worst economic crisis in history, after the government has left people for dead and gave blank checks to corporations and the richest people in the country. They're going to come around and say, while we're in the middle of the crisis, 40 million people are still going to be evicted. Those tens of millions of people permanently unemployed out of the workforce. They're going to come around and say, we need to continue, we're going to lift the pause, we should lift the pause on the student loan payments in September. And so this is a signal to the Biden administration that this is like I said, this is the framework that they should be going by now. And these aren't just some randos coming up with bad ideas that nobody's listening to. Like I said, the head of the Center for American Progress, Joe Biden picked for a Senate confirmed position, one of the most powerful positions in his White House. He's listening to the people from the Center the Center for American Progress. One of his undersecretaries for the Department of Education, he picked from the Center for American Progress. So these ideas, these shitty ideas aren't going unnoticed. In fact, you should expect the Biden administration, I just spit all over the place. You should, in some of the articles I read, it says you should expect these student loan payments to be resumed in September. So I'm at a loss for words because at every turn, it's like they're trying to prove me and all the other people who've been making the same arguments as me. It's like they're bending over backwards to try to prove us correct. That the government is not working on behalf of the public. They're there solely to serve corporate interests. And in the corporate interests here are the financial institutions that profit off of these student loans. They want their money. They don't care that people are in bread lines. They don't care that people's utilities are being shut off. They don't care that tens of millions of people are going to be evicted. Tens of millions of people are out of the workforce. They want their money. And so, on behalf of the financial institutions, these think tanks are putting it out there. The Biden administration is going to pick this up, that we need to resume these student loan payments. And they do not care the effects that this is going to have on regular people in this country. They are working on the behalf of corporations, which is fundamentally opposite of what's in the best interest of the public in this time, and at any time, really. And that goes to show you that this is not any kind of democracy. People keep trying to pretend like, oh, go out and vote. Get your voice, make sure your voice is heard. You got to go out and vote. And this, like, holding up this fantasy, this veneer, this patina of democracy. But we're so far removed from that. Anybody you pick, Democrat or Republican, they're serving corporate interests. This is an oligarchy, it's a plutocracy, it's a corporatocracy, and corporations own the government, they own the politicians, and they make the rules, they write the policy, and this is their world and we're just living in it. And it should be the exact opposite. But Joe Biden, tool of the oligarchs, tool of the establishment, he is the establishment, the embodiment of the establishment, Joe Biden, and all the rest of the neoliberals in his administration. And for all the people this is another thing where I'm so disappointed in so many people on the left and the left new media, because during the campaign, when Joe Biden says, "Oh yeah, we're going to cancel student loan debt and we're going to cancel like $50,000 in student loan debt or 100, whatever the fuck the number was," and then they keep every time they mention it, the number keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and all the people on the left were like, oh my God, this is just one of those issues where it's clear cut. Donald Trump won't do anything for your student loan debt, and Joe Biden, he says he's going to cancel your student loan debt, most of it, if not all of it. So it's a no-brainer. Let's serve two evils. You got to vote for Joe Biden. And it was just one of those instances where it was just rank propaganda from the Biden campaign to try to make themselves look less shitty, less corporatist than they actually were. And they just said words and people took them at face value and believed them, completely leaving out all the relevant context. Context being, first of all, Joe Biden is arguably more responsible for the student loan debt crisis than anybody in politics, than anybody in government. He wrote the bankruptcy bill that made it impossible to declare bankruptcy to discharge student loan debt. Prior to the bankruptcy bill, he made it easier for people to get student loans that they wouldn't be able to repay, all because they wanted the banks to kill people on the interest payments. So Joe Biden manufactured this crisis. And now he says that he's going to fix it, and people just take him at face value. What? And then on top of that, so he created the crisis. And then he's taking money from the same institutions who bribed him, who legally bribed him through campaign contributions to create the crisis in the first place. The financial institutions would benefit from the student loans. He's still taking money from them. And just because he says he's going to get rid of the student loan, that people believed him. So I never believed him. I never believed he was going to do anything about the student loan debt. And it's so infuriating because, like the immigration crisis, like the drug war, Joe Biden has the ability to solve this problem. Not make it better, not make it less bad for some people, not take some loan debt away from some people. He has the ability to completely solve the problem through executive order. He does not need this to go through Congress. It does not need to go through the Senate. He doesn't need a single Republican vote. He doesn't need a single Republican politician to agree to this. The President of the United States has the ability to completely cancel the over $1 trillion in student loan debt, but he won't do it. If he's been in office for 60 days and he still hasn't done it, he's not going to do it. And if now that these people, they're floating this idea of continuing the student loan payments before he does anything to cancel them, he's not going to do it. Joe Biden is a fucking liar. He's as bad a liar as Donald Trump. But people have this mythology that the Democrats are the good guys and they won't lie to you. They're telling the truth. Donald Trump's bad. He's a liar. They're all fucking liars. And look what they're going to do. Before they do anything to address the economic crisis, they're going to add in gratuitous debts. They're going to add some hundreds of dollars in payments for people, maybe thousands of dollars in payments to people who already can't afford to just keep the lights on, to keep a roof over their heads. They're going to do that when they have the ability to just completely, they could just continue the pause on it, or better, cancel the debt, and they won't do either one of them. They're just going to make people's lives worse because that's what's in the best interest of their corporate donors. Democratic Party they're fucking disgusting. They really are disgusting. And there is no real difference between them and the Republicans. This is oligarchy. This is one party rule. You have the blue team and the red team, and it gives it allows this theater, and it makes people feel like they have a choice, but really there is no choice. No matter who you vote for, your student loan debts are going to kill you. No matter, people have been paying student loan debts. People are retired, getting Social Security checks, and still paying the student loan debt payments. This has been such an unnecessary burden on people who are just trying to improve their lives, people who are just trying to get an education. And the government, corrupt politicians and financial institutions took advantage of them and put them in lifelong debt. And Joe Biden has the ability to solve that problem for millions of people in this country. And he won't lift a goddamn finger to do it.